cannot wait to see it. We're going to be live on Facebook and everything. So,
well, as a mother, I'm just absolutely all, I'm like, great.
yes.
I'm good though. I'm glad that he could help.
Yes, thank you.
All right, we'll give everyone just another minute. I was just sharing with Ryan and Nicole, I believe who was here with me, and I was sharing this before you all joined, that this morning, okay, first of all, I am not a morning person, right? I'm not a morning person. I know that's a double negative, but I'm not a morning person, but I'm a morning person that stays in her house, that not necessarily goes out. And this morning I was up at like 5:30, which is abnormal for me. Because I had to be somewhere at 8, but I had some work to do before 8. And we were building something in Winston Square Park that I'm so excited for the community to see. You all can see it starting Sunday for the Winston-Salem Portrait Project. And I rushed back because I love you all so much. I left in the middle of constructing that, but I'll go back later if they're not done. Because I definitely want to be here. So yeah, I think we have a good group with us. So I'll just jump right in with today's presentation. I don't know how I always spotlight myself. I think I'm trying to do something else, and I always spotlight myself, and that's not my intention. But here we go. Let me share my screen with you all. And someone just give me a thumbs up of some sort when you can see the screen. I can see Ryan and Miss Wanda. If one of you can, okay, thank you, Ryan. All right, so we'll jump right into today's presentation. I always forget this. Let me welcome everyone first, because everybody's not here every week. So hi everyone, I am Magalia Synth. I serve as the interim executive director for an organization by the name of Hustle Winston-Salem, which is a nonprofit dedicated to inclusive entrepreneurship. We're located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, but we serve beyond our city, especially in the world of COVID. So welcome to anyone who's not from Winston-Salem, from North Carolina. If you're visiting us from somewhere else today, thank you for joining us. So feel free to use the chat function in the Zoom, and on Facebook, feel free to use the comment section to introduce yourself, mention your business or things of that nature. In this particular program, we do in conjunction with the Foresight Tech Small Business Center, as well as Flywheel Co-working, which are both local organizations in our community as well. I mean, we've been doing this strong for, is this year 3 or 4? I don't even know, but we've been doing this for some time now, and I'm happy to have you all with us. So when we first started this, we did it once a month. Each week was like a different topic. Then we started doing it every 2 weeks, and then eventually we started doing every week. So now when we do it every week, we do a monthly series. So whatever the series, well, occasionally we might not have a series. It might be different things each week, but for the most part, we have a series for the entire month, and we talk about that series during the 4 or 5 weeks of that particular month. And we tend to do this in digestible sizes so that we're not overwhelming you with information. So we try to start from the beginning and take you through the month, through the end, with information that you can apply immediately to your business. That's the goal with Marketing Outside the Box. We try to provide strategies and tips and techniques that you can apply to your small business almost immediately. So that's where we are. Excuse me. And today, the theme for the month of April is a thin line between customer service and marketing. I don't know how many of you ever seen the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, but I am guilty of watching that movie when I came up with this title. I was in the middle of watching and I was just like, that works for me. So that's how we came up with the theme for the month. And today in particular, we're focusing on getting to know your customers again. So that's what you'll hear me talk about all day today, and how that ties into the rest of the sessions for the rest of the month. So again, this month we're focusing on getting to know your customers again. Today, I need a moment. Next week, we're focusing on you building genuine customer connections. The week after that, we're going to focus on you and your business being authentic. And then the last week of this month, as it relates to customer service and marketing, we're focusing on audience targeting. But just to kind of shape it and frame it for you as we go through the series. Because I know sometimes we can't make every session, but if you need to prioritize any particular topic, that's the order of it. All right. So let's jump right into it. So I don't know how many of you all receive our newsletter, but in our newsletter this morning, I did share a fun fact. And basically, I didn't know this until maybe last year I found this out, but did you know that get to know your customers day is a thing? Like, first of all, it's a thing. I was like, who knew? So I'm not sure how many of you are surprised as me, but it's observed annually on the third Thursday of each quarter. That's kind of hard to kind of process, the third Thursday of each quarter. So that means in January and April and July and October. So the third Thursday of this month is another time that Get to Know Your Customers Day will be observed in the business community. So, you know, no pressure, but do with that information as you will. If it's new information to you, think about what tips and strategies you can probably use on that particular day as you cater to your customers, and we'll focus on some of that today. Just because you all know I love social media and all things connected to it. The hashtag for that day, if you decide to use it, is hashtag Get to Know Your Customer Day. Simple. So yeah, let's jump right into it. I mean, if you remember, I say that as if I'm super, super old, but if you remember when businesses were locally owned and operated, you know, I get this from movies. Typically, you know, everybody knew what you wanted when you walked into the store. Like, you almost didn't have to tell the person behind the counter because they just knew you. And if they didn't have it in the store, they were willing to get it for you and let you know, hey, we have that, whatever. But with the internet, there are a lot of benefits to the internet, but unfortunately, one of the things that the internet took away was that personal touch. It took away that personal attention that we would normally give to our customers. So if you don't make an effort to know your customers on a personal level, your digital marketing efforts are pointless. And again, you all know here, Marketing Outside the Box, we stress digital marketing. We stress it. But if you're not making a point to get to know your customers, you're doing it for no reason. So getting to know your customers, again, can work wonders for your business, especially as we navigate this time of recovery in the nation. So today you'll hear me use customer and consumer interchangeably, but I do want to take a moment to make sure we all understand the difference between a customer and a consumer. And before I share that difference, does anyone want to take a stab at it? Tell me what they think the difference between the two. Feel free to just unmute yourself if you do. And if not, I'll just continue and give everybody another 15 seconds.
Is it similar to like a prospect and a client? So where it's you have a consumer is someone who can potentially utilize your services or goods, but a customer is someone who's actively engaging with you in purchasing either that service or good.
Yeah, there was some of what you just said is correct. So that was really good. So you said something key with the first part about the consumer utilizing. So think about the consumer as the person that uses your product. The customer is the person that pays to purchase your product. In some cases, that can be the same person, and in other cases, it cannot. So you think about your consumer, like for example, you think about children's toys, right? The child is your consumer. You're catering your product to that child. But you also need to pay attention to the customer, which likely is the parent. The parent or the grandmother or grandfather, whomever, is going to purchase that. Those people, the people that spend the money, those people are your customer. So even though you may be creating a product or providing a service for a particular consumer base, you're catering to the money. And yes, the consumer has a lot of influence on that customer. So you still want to pay attention to your consumer. I'm not saying to ignore your consumer, but you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your customer. So again, you'll hear me use the terms interchangeably today because that's just the nature, I think, of how we use the words, but I do want to make sure that you understand the difference in real life, even though I'll be using it probably incorrect at some point today. So yeah, any questions about that before we move on? Okay. My slides are moving along with me, right? Yes? Okay. So as you all know, I like to give you numbers. I like to give you information because as you know, men lie, women lie, numbers do not lie. So, so when we're creating content marketing, like when you think about why you should get to know your customers, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, but anyways, when we're creating content marketing strategies or you're creating your marketing campaigns or promoting your brand, it's easy for us to get carried away with the creative aspect of that. It's probably one of my favorite things in marketing, the creative aspects, but sometimes we get so lost in the creative, we forget the specific needs, desires, and preferences in the process. Meaning, you know, a lot of times we see these fancy marketing things, fancy marketing campaigns, but it has absolutely nothing to do with what your customer wants. Like it's nice, it's catchy, it's cool, what you do want to think about, but the first order of business is making sure that it's again solving a problem. It's catering to a need, a desire, a preference in that creative process. And remember that consumers they're the lifeline of your business. So getting under their skin is the only way to engage, inspire, and connect. And I don't know how many of you attended our session. I mean, maybe that was October. I can't remember when we talked about this, but we focused a lot on engage, inspire, and connect. So that's bringing those words right back to you. You want to get under the skin of your consumers to really engage, inspire, and connect in a way that's both meaningful and valuable in equal measures to them. So, you know, we could talk about value all day, adding value, but you also want to make sure that it's meaningful and pretty much the same thing. But yes, it means something to your customers and your consumers. So yeah, looking at some of the data, and this data is as of 2020. I'm just quickly running through the data that you see here. 96% of consumers state that customer service is an integral part. It's an integral factor in their loyalty choices towards a brand and a business, right? 96%. Businesses that lead in their customer experience efforts outperform others by almost 80%. And then 90% of leading CEOs feel that the customer has the most significant impact on their business. That's kind of like a duh moment, right? But believe it or not, a lot of business owners do not believe that the customer has the most impact on their business. And then finally, 91% of today's consumers, particularly those that are digital natives, so millennials and Gen Z, and even now Gen Alpha, but they are more likely to shop with brands that provide relevant offers and recommendations. And I'll tie some of today's content to some of this data. So if you think about that and you realize some of the things that we're going to talk about ties directly to that. But with this, what this data tells me, I don't know what it's telling you, but what this data tells me is that on the subject of customer service, excellence is the standard. Excellence is the standard. So the first step, again, in providing excellent customer service, as I see it, is getting to know your customer. So that's why we're exploring that today. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Any questions about that? Trying to catch questions as I go. So I think the first tips, I'm providing tips today. I think I provided maybe 3, possibly 4 tips, but it doesn't mean that that's it. There's so many tips as you try to get to know your customer, and I'll try to cover as much as possible today. So the first one I think is pretty obvious. Like this is the most obvious tip, I think. So without a doubt, one of the most direct and priceless ways of getting to know your customer is by starting a conversation with them. Find out what services and what products they need. By meeting your consumers where they are, you will be able to understand how they connect with their peers while asking them valuable questions. There's that word again, value. Asking them valuable questions in a way that's organic rather than your customers feeling like you're intruding. It's just feeling super intrusive in the way you're asking them questions. And when you ask the right questions, you will get the right answers. It's the type of answers you'll get that help you improve your brand experience overall. So you want to make sure that you think about the questions you ask and you're not asking questions just to ask them. And honestly, the first thing that I'll say as you ask your customers questions, the first thing you want to think about is social listening, right? And you're like, what is social listening? Social listening is monitoring social media channels for mentions of your brand, competitors, product, and more. So you're monitoring social media channels when they mention your brand, when they mention your competitors, when they mention products or services similar to you, to what you offer. That's what social listening is. And it sounds time consuming. Yes, it is, but it don't have to be, but yes, it is. Because I mean, think about it. Your best friend listens to you. Your significant other listens to you. And I'm sure those are some of your favorite people in the world, right? So treat your customer relationships the same way by listening to them, and you become their favorite brand. It's that simple, guys. And yes, just like our friends and our significant others complain to us sometimes, your customers will sometimes complain to you. Listen, okay? The other thing is you want to follow up on a purchase. Ask your customers how their purchase or service worked for them. Again, I know I'm asking you to do more work, but excellence is a standard, and you can automate some of these things. We talked about automation a few months ago. There are some ways you can automate these things, and depending on the size of your business, you can make it even personal and do a phone call, do a text, a personal email. But if you have a lot of customers and that's just almost impossible, you can have an automation that sounds like it's coming directly from you each time someone makes a purchase, and just, did you like it? Is there something we could have done better? And, hopefully they loved it and there's really nothing else, but people appreciate that. And, it's a toss up, 50-50, they'll respond, 50-50, they won't, but it's worth the effort. Because for those that do respond, not only will you find out about your product, but again, you will learn more about your customer and the services they need. Okay. So in the world of marketing, user-generated content, also sometimes known as user-created content, that refers to content related to your brand that's created by someone who's not an official representative of your business. It could be a social media update. It could be a review. It could be a video. It could be a post or a number of other types. If it involves your brand and no one on your team, so none of your employees, no one that's an intern or no one that's affiliated specifically with you and they created it, it's user-generated content. And what I want to say about this, and shoot, I wanted to talk to you all a little bit about social listening. I'm gonna go back on social listening in a little bit, but with user-generated content, what I really want you to think about examples of what you've seen, because it's not as hard and complicated as you think it is. There are, we see people all the time, Instagram or Facebook, they'll order pizza, for example, right? And they'll post a picture of their pizza, and they'll say, oh, this looks so great. And they might tag, like, I'll use, what's a local pizza? I'll use a brand. I'll just say Domino's. So I try to use local businesses as much as often as I can, but anyways, Domino's, and let's just say they tag Domino's and says, this looks so delicious, or look how beautiful my pizza look, or whatever, right? And they tag Domino's. Domino's can reshare that and put their own comment, right? And that's considered user-generated content. And that helps you connect to your customer and get to know your customer, because in that example that I just used, what the customer just gave you, and customers are giving you free info, free data all the time. What the customer just gave you in that case is that people like to see pictures of their food, especially when it looks pretty, right? Like that's what you got out of that. And you use it to your advantage. You share that and it becomes authentic. And we'll talk more about authentic, I said, I think in week 3. I want to go back a little bit to the social listening, because I left out a whole lot of information I wanted to share with you all. But as we think about social listening, which, remember, social listening is when you're listening, paying attention to social media and other sites, so your brand, your competitor's brand, your products, you're hearing all of that. That's social listening, using that to your advantage to connect to your customer. So there are a few things that you wanna listen out for when it comes to social listening, and hopefully this is helpful. This isn't on the slide anywhere. You can get the recording later, but feel free to take notes. With social listening, certain elements that you want to pay attention to: complaints, which I think we talked a little bit about already. Pay attention to complaints. Pay attention to compliments. Pay attention to backlinks. Pay attention to retweets and mentions. And pay attention to questions, particularly around your brand. And I see the chat is popping. So if there's a question, please unmute yourself because I can't see it. But
it's just people introducing themselves.
Oh, you said it's just people introducing themselves. All right. Thank you, Tony. So yeah, questions, retweets, backlinks, compliments, complaints. Those are 5 key things that did I say that too fast? Compliments, complaints, retweets and mentions, questions, and there's one more. Backlinks, which are links that lead you elsewhere. Pay attention to those. And then also I talked about social listening being a lot of work, like it could be very timely. We talked a while ago, I can't remember which session it was, but we gave you some tools, some online social media tools that can help you navigate social media. So think about platforms like Hootsuite. Again, because on platforms like Hootsuite, for example, you can have Hootsuite tell you when someone mentioned your business or tag you, when someone mentioned your competitors, when someone mentioned a particular field or whatever. Like, you can have Hootsuite notify you of that information so that you are actively listening, socially listening. And there are other platforms, I think BuzzSumo, and there's one on Twitter, followers or follower. Don't quote me on these particular platforms in this moment, but those are, my point is there are things that can help save you time if you research them enough. And of course, you can always reach out to me and I can give you the correct name in case I gave you the wrong name just now. And just to focus on competitors again for one moment, when we're doing social listening, it's really important that you pay attention to your competitors. It's really, really important, because if customers are saying it about their competitors, you either want to get in front of it so that you're not, if it's a complaint, you either want to get in front of it. And if it's a compliment, you want to figure out how you can make that work with your business if this is what the customer likes. So just think about that stuff. And I think we'll talk about this some more during another session when we handle reviews, but I just want to put it out there. When you're talking about compliments and complaints, respond to both. A lot of times we see one or the other with businesses, particularly larger companies, but in small companies, what I've noticed, small businesses sometimes don't respond at all. And I'm not saying you need to spend your life responding to every single comment, but there's value in you deciding to take maybe once a month, deciding to reply to your customers. And if it's a complaint, respond to it. I mean, we don't like to hear complaints, but there may be value in that complaint. Reach out to the customer. You might not want to do it right there on the Google review, maybe because I think you can send them an email. You might say, hey, I saw your review. Are you available to share a little bit more? How can we fix this? And it's not only about giving them an incentive or making them happy by giving them a discount. It's about figuring out what they really complained about, so you can decide if it's an issue, so that you can learn how to fix it with your company. And same thing with compliments, is if they're telling you they really like something, maybe that's an idea for you to be like, oh, my customers really do like this. I need to put this out in front of them more, or whatever the case may be. You're using it as data. And along those lines, take notes, like create a spreadsheet or something. And every time something particular pops up in a compliment or in a complaint, put it in that Google Doc. And maybe once a quarter, once every 6 months, once a year, you're reviewing those notes and deciding what you need to take action on, what needs to become part of your marketing plan, what strategies you need to change. All of that plays into getting to know your customer and responding to your customer need, okay? So I just wanted to spend a little bit more time on that social listening part, because it's very important. And then, I mean, I think most of us probably do this, but surveys and polls, old fashioned, but do it. But you can put a creative spin to it. I will caution you not to survey and poll your customers to death. There are some companies, big and small, that's just often like every single thing, it's a poll. And I'm just like, leave me alone. So don't become one of those companies, but figure out the best cadence, and all of that goes back to knowing your customer, knowing your industry, knowing what that cadence needs to be. In some fields, once a year is just fine. In others, you need to touch them at least every 2 months. So you figure it out for your particular business. But yeah, surveys and polls always work, but get creative with it and don't just stick to, Google Forms or SurveyMonkey and Typeform. You can use Twitter polls. You can host a poll on a Facebook or Instagram Live and ask them to respond in the comments. You can create a reel or a TikTok with your poll questions in it. That way you have music and it's fun and whatever's going on, and ask them to DM their responses to you. That way you're making the poll and getting to know your customer a little bit more engaging. And if you own a brick or mortar, you can entice customers to come take the survey in the store, take the poll in the store. That helps you because they'll likely buy something if they come into your shop. But then also you can give away something as far as and it could be something simple. It could just be you get a 5% discount by coming in to take this survey. So either way, all of that helps you get to know your customer better. Any questions about that? All right. So tip number 2, rebuild profiles or personas for your customer. This is particularly important post 2020. I'll say post 2020 because 2020 changed your customers in a lot of ways. Things that once were important to them probably no longer is important, and things that wasn't important at one point, it's probably at the top of their priority list. So it's always good, especially after a year like last year, at some point, if you haven't already, to figure out, are my customers the same customer? Am I still catering to the right group? And the word data comes to play again here, like get analytical, we all again have data and insights and metrics at our fingertips. Literally, if you're on social media, you literally have that data at your fingertips. Like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't think there's a platform that don't give you insights. So use that insight. Your email distribution has insights. Use that data, look at it, spend some time figuring out, has my customers' habits changed? Has their preferences changed? Is it still the same? Are their behaviors still the same? And use them to better understand what has changed. And then build, if things have not changed, you might not need to do this step. Or if you've never done this step, go ahead and do it. But if they have changed, use that data from the things that have changed to rebuild their profiles and their personas. With this data, not only will you be able to, build those profiles, but you'll also improve your marketing communications, which is, the whole point of why we're here, marketing outside the box. So a quick overview of what you need to include in your buyer persona template, if you don't already have one. And if you do, I can skip this step, but I'm assuming you don't have one. So I'm going to quickly just mention a few things. The persona name. It's very important to give your persona a name to bring them to life and humanize your marketing efforts. So, if we wanted to say Wanda, Tony, or Marlene, whoever, like this is the persona, that name that type of customer, give it a name. If they have a job, if this is the type of customer it is. I'm trying to cater to my customers for Hustle. Their job title is business owner, CEO, whatever the case may be, because I'm talking to business owners, right? So give them a job title. And it sounds tedious, but put the details about what your customer's job role is and essential information about just that type of stuff related to their job title. Obviously, demographics, age, gender, salary or combined household income, location, like are they from an urban, suburban, or rural region? Is that the customer? So if my customer again is Wanda, my persona that I'm working on at the moment is Wanda, and then my other persona is Marlene. You know, Wanda's in a suburban area, or Marlene's in a rural area. You know, Wanda is a CEO of a nonprofit. Marlene is a CEO, or not CEO, director. Excuse me. Wanda is a director of a nonprofit. Marlene is a CEO of a company. Those are two personas. You're creating that. You can even get down as far as demographics. You can get as far down as the level of education and potential family size for a customer. So these things are important. When you think about the persona, goals and challenges. So think about the main goal for this persona, the main goal for this particular profile. Think about a secondary goal. So your main goal could be, with this particular persona, I want this persona, this profile, this type of customer to always be the one that's 90% of the time purchasing, like, let's just say I sell homes or I sell insurance. 90% of the time they are buying this package or this type of home, because you have built that persona. You will cater your marketing to that persona for that particular person, right? So, you know, you think about how this persona, as you think about goals and challenges, how this persona will help you reach these goals, or excuse me, how you will help your persona reach their goals. So what goals do they have? What challenges do they have? How will you help them reach those goals? Same thing with issues, with the challenges. You think about their primary challenge, their secondary challenge, and how can you assist them in solving that challenge and solving that problem. You think about that persona's values and fears. And in the last year, a lot of people's values have changed, right? So you think about their values. You think about what makes them afraid. A lot of people are afraid of things this year that they weren't afraid of last year. How does that impact you and your business and your client? So yeah, you think about that. And then once you have all of that, you think about your marketing message to them. Think about how might you describe or communicate your product or service to this particular type of person. I've created a Wanda character and I've created a Marlene character. What marketing message fits into the Wanda character? What marketing message fits into the Marlene character? And once you figure out the type of message that you want to get to those things, then you create your elevator pitch. You create your elevator pitch for those personas. And some of you, based on your company and your industry, you might have 5 personas. You might have 10. I don't know. It's just really based on your business, but create that elevator pitch for that particular persona. You might have a persona that you realize, you know, with this persona, I need to be able to perfect a 15-second pitch. And another persona, you realize it's going to take 3 meetings with this person before they even take me seriously. So you just kind of need to know all of those things with your various personas. And those are kind of like core things when you're creating your profiles for your various customers. But in the next thing here, you don't necessarily have to do this. It's a little extra, but you know, extra is better in my world. Extra brings you towards excellence. And we already said the standard is excellence. So a few things to think about as you're building your persona templates and you're creating these things for your business. If you want to go the extra mile, these are a few other things to think about for those various profiles. Number one, think about their level of digital competency, especially as it relates to your business. If it makes sense for you to think about it for your business. If it doesn't make sense for you to think about it for your business, then don't worry about it. But I would still put that on your list and just say level of digital competency. You could put NA, because you are 2021. We live in a digital world. It needs to be part of your business. Even if that's not the way you move, you still can say, okay, NA, this doesn't matter, because a year from now, 2 years from now, you may need it. I think 2020 again taught us all that. Everybody had to figure out, if you weren't in a digital space, you had to figure it out in 2020, right? So I would really encourage that you have it on there anyways. Personal hobbies. Again, not necessary, but it helps. Think about that persona's personal hobbies, create it. Preferred news sources. You're like, what the heck? I have to think about where they're going to get news. Yes. Gen Z gets their news on Twitter. I'm not Gen Z, but I get my news from Twitter, you know, versus, you know, if you're talking to, I guess older millennials might still watch the news. Or if you're like my mother, she will pull out a newspaper. And I'm like, girl, what? But either way, you know, like think about their news sources, because that helps your marketing strategy if they fit in a particular demographic, and that's where you need to put your marketing. Think about their blogs. And a lot of us fail to realize everything that a blog is, like really knowing the difference between the types of blogs. Like think of Pinterest as a blog. Like, is this person spending time on Pinterest? Think of it as a blog. Think of a lot of people's Instagram page as a blog. Where are they spending? What is their favorite blog? What is their favorite social media platform as well? Like which, and of their social media platforms, which ones are they using the most? Again, I'm guilty. I use Twitter the most. And when I am on Instagram, I'm only in Instagram stories, my own. Like I'm not even watching other people's Instagram stories. I watch my own like a crazy person. So that makes sense if I was somebody's typical customer. So they would know with their marketing strategy, they need to do Instagram story ads to reach someone like me, because they've created their profile about me, someone like me. And they know that this is where we're spending our time on our social platforms. And then if you have, you know, quotes, again, you can pull these from your reviews, or if you do the customer interviews or whatever, you can use direct quotes and make that part of you building a profile or persona for a customer. Like this particular customer review or interview said, whatever it is that they said, A, B, C, D, and it was so powerful to you as you thought about their profile, and you thought about this type of customer, like what I just said, for example. You know, I just said, I only watch my own Instagram stories. So, I mean, a marketer would really have to think through making sure that in between my stories, they can fit an ad, because I'm not watching somebody else's story to see the ads from the transition between person A to person B. So how are you going to get an ad in between her own stories? And, you know, they have to figure all of that out. But anyways, so that's just some things as you think about rebuilding profiles and personas for your customers. I can't stress how important this particular tip is let me not say post-COVID. That gives people the false impression that we have solved this problem. Not post-COVID, but while we're trying to recover from 2020 in this world of COVID. So spend some time to do that, okay? Tip number 3, how are we doing on time? What time do we have? Okay, I'm good. Tip number 3 is tailoring your deals, discounts, and incentives. Again, as we think about data, y'all, use it to create specific deals, specific discounts, and specific incentives for the individual. I know this is more work. I know it is. But again, there are a lot of platforms out there that helps you automate this. So you don't have to individually and manually do this, but even using those platforms, you have to put in the right information to make sure those platforms do it right. But it is a little bit more work, but I can't stress enough, it is worth it. The amount of work you do up front, like if you do this in, like, what is this now, Q2, you do all of this in April, you might not need to do this again for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? It saves you so much time. So think about the best way. So when we think about tailoring these discounts and these deals and incentives, it circles back to the importance of personalization that we talked about in the beginning. If you offer your customers tailored deals and discounts, you're likely to foster brand loyalty, which will give you the opportunity to get to know them better. I mean, think about it, y'all. Think about it. Like, honestly, think about it. When I'll speak for myself, because I don't know what your life is. I'll speak for myself. I get a lot of sales that come through my email from local businesses and from major companies. Sometimes I don't even bother reading it. I'm deleting because it's not catered to me. It's just this big blowout sale. It's not stuff that I want anyways. I don't care. But if you use the data, if you use the insights and the metrics that your email platform told you, that Instagram told you about your particular customer, and you automated it, it will send it to me manually Starbucks is great at this. I hate to use them, but they are great at this. They will send me their little Starbucks code. I don't know how many of you use the stars. You get the points. I do. But they will tell me, you buy this cinnamon dolce latte, you buy 2 of them, you will get an extra 120 points. What? And that's because they're paying attention. This girl buys cinnamon dolce latte every day. They're paying attention. When the summer hits, they know when it gets warmer, I'm getting my refresher. Sips on Starbucks as I say this. But anyways, you know what I mean? Like they have mastered it. So don't think you can't do what some of these larger companies are doing, because the tools are there. Okay. The majority of today's consumers, 72% to be exact, 72% to be exact, will only interact with these personalized offers. They will only interact with these they again, I just gave you the example. I am a prime example of this. I will delete your email in a heartbeat. Unless there is an unless here, unless I have brand loyalty. Thinking of local companies, I don't know how many of you all, I know she might be on this call today, I don't know, but I don't know how many of you all are familiar with Lizzie's all natural products, brand loyalty. So I see all her emails, and Cam's Coffee, they're another brand loyalty for me. I see all the emails and I read every sale to see if it's what I want or don't want. Versus Macy's and Belk and all that. And Target, I love Target, but I delete, because it's not catered to me. I'm so used to Target sending me some furniture. What makes you think I'm buying furniture, Target? What are you doing? But anyways, so think about your business the same way. Think about what you're offering the same way. They really, the data is really giving you a window to your customer soul, honestly. So cater to that once you know it. Cater to it with your sales. All right. Because I mean, honestly, what choice do you have? You really don't have a choice at this point if you want to succeed in business. So don't waste your time with these overall. I mean, sometimes you can do a one dramatic big sale, but I mean, why? If I just told you 72% of people are prefer the personalized offers, like what does that mean? 23% isn't really that focused on it. You're going to focus on the 23% instead of I know that's wrong. 28%. You're going to focus on the 28% instead of the 72%. Like that, the math ain't mathing if you decide to do that. The math is not mathing. Like that's not what we were taught as far as math. You're going to go with that 72%. Okay. I think this is my last tip, I think. So, man, I'm telling you, this is the last tip I'm giving you, but there's so many more tips that I can give you as it comes to getting to know your customer again. So take these tips, and we'll send this to you by Friday. Take these tips, but know that there's so many more ways, and spend some time thinking about those other ways, or, you know, schedule a one-on-one. We'll talk through it. But yeah, last but not least, host a day in the life contest. And this really is kind of connected to user-generated content that we talked about earlier, that UGC. It's really almost connected to that because, and this is also along the lines of hosting events and experiences, which we'll talk about, in a different session, in a future session. But as you think about what you're doing in a day in the life, you're pulling content from a customer. So same thing, user-generated content. So how do you do this? You're showing active appreciation to your customers, right? When you do this, you're building trust with them. You're pulling in brand loyalty. That's all the reasons why you do this, and this will make your customers more likely to engage again with your brand, because you're giving them this very personal touch point. So the path is listed there for you. It's not particularly used a lot. I think a lot of companies, large and small, are still a little hesitant because you're kind of trusting a customer with your brand. But be bold, become an early adopter of it. Like, do it. There's nothing more authentic than a customer, you know, experiencing your company and being able to tell people this is my real life experience, a customer that you're not paying, to do this. And again, I know a lot of companies they're hesitant because, if they have a bad experience, they're going to say that as well. But if the standard is excellence, you've done everything you needed to know to get to know your customer, and they're not going to have a bad experience with your brand, right? So just quickly, you create a hashtag. You all know I am team hashtags, but I didn't create these rules. These are the steps that you need to follow if you decide to do this. Create a hashtag that you want to use for your contest. Choose a social media platform that you want to host it on. And again, that's depending upon your audience. If your audience is primarily on Facebook, then do it there. If your audience is primarily on LinkedIn, then do it there. So just, your audience. So choose your platform. Offer your customers an incentive to share a day in their life. So figure out what that incentive can be. It doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be product. It doesn't have to be a service. It could be something as simple as you're going to highlight them and tell their story. Like, that costs you nothing. You just pretty much just gained another customer if you do it that way. So think smart, not hard. So offer them an incentive and let them go. Let them do it. Your brand is sharing a day in the life of your customer, still connecting it to your brand. And not only does this help bring brand awareness for you, but again, it's giving you insight into your customer. You're seeing the day in the life of various customers, and you can make it a competition, obviously, and somebody wins a prize if you want to do that. But you're pulling data and information. Like, okay, this is how they're spending their day. Okay, this makes sense. I might need to cater some marketing to this. Whatever you can, and you'll start to see if you do it as a competition, a contest, you'll start to see maybe some similarities that lets you know what changes you may need to cater to in your business to your customer. And I mean, again, a lot of companies, large and small, are not taking advantage of this, but I mean, mark my words, this time next year, probably it'll be a thing. It'll be the thing. Was there a question?
Yes. Can you give me an example of a company that has done this so I can look at it?
I don't know a company, honestly. I don't know who just asked me that question.
Libby?
I don't know a company off the top of my head, Libby, but what I will promise you is that when you all receive this on Friday, I'll include an example of a company. I'll do some quick research. I just, off the top of my head, a company isn't coming to mind. I'm sorry about that.
That's fine. I'm very intrigued by it, but I want to see how it's been done.
I feel
before.
like Nike may have, but let me confirm that and send it to you. Unless somebody else know an example of a company that has done it.
Great idea.
Ryan or Tony, I think both of you are trying to say something.
Well, I don't know how it could relate to like a smaller business, but I know YouTube did do it.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll look for that one, Tony, and if you do have it, you can send it to me. But I'll try to find a larger brand, and then I'll try to find a local brand as well. But don't quote me on both, Libby. I'll send one example, but if I could send two, I will.
Okay, thanks.
No problem at all.
Yes, I was just gonna ask, I guess, to make sure I have a good understanding of what this is specifically, because I'm thinking between showing them using your product or just recognition. And kind of an example that I'm thinking of is with Mother's Day coming up, having like a day in the life for like, how do you appreciate your mother, or why is she so valuable? Something like that. Would that be considered where customers are talking about, like, either moms, what they do for their family, or husbands and children's talking about what their moms do for them, the women in their families, and then putting that up to show appreciation for that? Would that be like something along the lines?
Yeah, that's a really good example, Ryan. He just did that, y'all. That's a really good example. What I would add to that is you make it a contest specifically with, at some point, they either have to use your product or your service. Like, that's the whole point, right? So people can know about your brand. So part of the contest, whatever your contest rules are, you would put that in the rules. Like they need to be able to show that they used whatever it is, whether it's a product or a service or whatever in that day.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I mean, because I don't know everyone on here yet, and I see her lovely logo for the gift baskets. My instant thought and where I was connecting of, because she talked about Mother Day's coming up and building gift baskets, having something where showing mother appreciation leading up to that, and then anyone who's purchased that gift basket for the mothers, then sharing that at the end of it, of going, this is what we did to show appreciation. So not only were you building traction, but then when you offered those gifts or discounts or whatever for the Mother Day special, then showing that at the end of having like, hey, we did this for her because she's done so much for us, and get the logo, get the appreciation, everything like that. And I was just trying to make sure that that's kind of the same page.
Yes, that's exactly right, Ryan. So you got it. And Aixa, I hope you wrote that down, because he just gave you some free marketing right there, sis.
Oh, I wrote it down as soon as he said it.
Thank you so much, Ryan. But yes, Libby, you still want an example, or was that a good, you still want me to send something in the email? Or was that example, did it help you understand it better? And you're muted if you're speaking.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yeah, that was very helpful. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay. I'll still try to find it, Libby, but since you got the example, I might not stress myself too much.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, any other questions or comments that I should be aware of? If not, I think, let me see, make sure. I might have one more slide for you, but I think, hey, we might be done before 1:30. I almost want to throw a party. Let's see. So yeah, that was it. That's all I have. I mean, I think the last thing I want to leave you with, Laura Ashley, who's a really great businesswoman. She said once upon a time long ago, we don't want to push our ideas onto customers. We simply want to make what they want. And as you think about getting to know your customer again, keep that in mind. As you're innovating and making changes, like, yes, you want to stay core to your business and why you created your business, and this is what your business is for. So you don't want to change the whole model unless you're pivoting. But remember, when you started your business initially, you were solving a problem. So you simply want to make what they want, because hopefully that's still something they want. You're still solving a problem. And I always use the example of chips. Like when they created chips, it's because people were hungry. Simple. We were hungry and we needed something to eat, snacks, right? So at its fundamental base, chips still solves that problem, right? Food in general, but chips, like that's my example. Chips still solve that problem fundamentally, no matter all these changes and creative things that we see happening with chips. At the base of it all, if someone is hungry and need a snack and they see a bag of chips, they can eat it to handle that hunger, right? So you think of your business the same way. You're giving people what they want. All right. So next week, is next week the 14th? Did I make that up? No, it is the 14th. Wow. Okay. So next week, we're covering building genuine customer connections. So we'll go through that. Same time, same place. If you have questions before then, you can always email us, hustlewsinfo@gmail.com. If Tony has a moment, please put that in the chat for anyone that may need to get in contact with us. But yeah, same time, same place. That's the topic. We'll send this presentation from today. You'll have that in your inbox by Friday. You should have it by Friday. And if there aren't any other questions, I'll stick around until 1:30 if there are. But if there aren't any questions, thank you so much. I'm so proud of myself. It's 1:23. Oh. Listen, I need to start waking up at 5:30 every day. But if you don't have any other questions, please enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, thank you so much, Rachel. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and hope to see you next week. And if you do have more questions, but you want to wait until the session ends, I'll stick around at least until 1:30 for that. But if not, have a great day, all.
Magali.
Yes.
Great day. Hey, Magali.
Yes.
I said, y'all have a great day.
Thanks. You too, Marianne.
Thank you.
Magali, I missed a couple minutes in the beginning. What are you doing later on? Not that I'm being nosy or anything.
Oh, you're talking about the Winston-Salem Portrait Project?
Oh, is that what it is?
Oh yeah, I didn't say I'm not doing anything. Oh, I know what you're talking about because I said I might have to go back. We're installing an exhibit in Winston Square Park.
Oh, okay.
And that exhibit will be up this Saturday, and it's open to the public on Sunday, weather permitting. It might all be up on Sunday instead because we're supposed to be raining all day on Saturday. But it will be up. The mural will be up forever, so you can always go to Winston Square Park and see it. And then the photo exhibit will only be up for a couple of months through August. So, but it's
okay.
It's recognizing various people in our community. The community members chose community members to recognize. So, and it's part of the Arts Commission from City Council, and I'm just the local coordinator for it. So two amazing artists they're based in New York, but they've traveled to North Carolina over the last 3 years. They've been working on this, so it's amazing. Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I want to check it out. It's there to win. To win.
The mural will be there forever.
Okay, but
the photo exhibit will be there through August. And what I don't think I have it readily available, but there is a Facebook Live event Saturday morning at 9:30 that kind of gives a little history behind it so you understand what you're coming to look at. So if I can share that link with you, Marlene.
Yeah, perfect, yes. And the other thing, I probably will just pop in next week. The 14th is here. I know what you're talking about. So yes, I may just pop in just for a couple minutes. That's it.
Okay, no problem. You can always find the video on Facebook, and we'll always email it.
Good. All right, good. All right, I don't want to keep you any longer because I got things to do for the 14th too. So. All right, take care. Thanks.
No problem. We'll be in touch because we have prizes to give you and 2 more people. Okay. And I need to check my Facebook for my Zoom for you all's name. I'll do that. I forgot to do that. Okay.
All right, good. All right, I'll see you next week.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Did anyone else have any questions for me? I noticed a few people are still here.
Yeah, I wanted to connect a little bit, but I saw other people were on there, so I was trying to be respectful of questions and not take up too much time for you. So I was kind of waiting out.
No, you're good. Miss Wanda, Rachel, Jennifer, Kim, did you all have any specific questions? I think sometimes we just hang out towards the end until I leave.
You were still live. I was waiting for you not to be live.
Oh, we're still live? I did not know. Facebook is probably like, if you don't go away, I'm so sorry. Let me stop that. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for that. Thank you all on Facebook for joining us as well. Let me go ahead and stop the live. And hopefully you all join us on Facebook next week.